Thank you very much for inviting me here to be part of a discussion and a topic that is of vital importance. National character building is definitely urgent and a multi-dimensional issue. It is the very loss of national character that will lead us to the loss of the next generation. Character serves as a rudder or the strength of the nation. And it is important so that the nation does not vacillate. But while sitting here and talking, I honestly feel that I should be sitting there and listening to the speakers because economy and these things are honestly new for me. I've been a practitioner, police officer, a CT, CVE man all my life, and not a scholar or an intellectual. So please, if I falter, pardon me. There are some very wise people sitting around the table, and I've already learned quite a few things, ma'am, from you. So I'm learning, and I started learning last year when I retired from public service, because then I thought I'm Socrates and Plato all in one. I knew everything then. But for a moment, and I'm not John Lennon, but imagine, we are in the 50s of Pakistan, and the independence euphoria has not evaporated, at least not yet. We are accommodative and selfless. We are honest and still tell the truth. We are tolerant and inclusive, and we can still discuss topics, issues, which we now consider taboo or controversial. As Churchill said, and I distort his statement, we still have the courage to stand up and speak, and still have the courage to sit down and listen. Our daughters and sisters still go to the schools, colleges, riding bicycles without raising eyebrows. There is a heaven and hell, but we are not killing or dying for it and living as one. But why am I talking about or taking you back to the 50s? It is because we must learn from the past without dwelling in past. National character has been defined, and while I was myself looking and asking Uncle Google what it was, and I came up with this definition of life in a common territory, subject to the same influences of history and legal system, produces certain common attitudes and traits, often called national character. Our own national character has been transformed from an inclusive to an exclusive, from a tolerant to an intolerant and extremist, from a progressive to a regressive form. And what is extremism? As I see, extremism is broadly identified as having absolute belief in one's truth. Absolute belief in one's truth with an ingrained sense of self-righteousness. The entrenched sense of self-righteousness enables the holder of belief to grow judgmental about other people's beliefs, followed with intolerance. Extreme polarization divides society into us and them. Such extreme behavior is then likely to be accompanied with violence, symbolizing dismissal of diversity and an urge based on conviction of justness, of need of imposition one's belief system to the exclusion of others. Such violence is also motivated to further social, political, and economic objectives. Now, do we need a soft image or do we need a balanced image? Soft image could be through makeup, denial, without acknowledging our fault lines, thus sticking to the fractured society, without going for solutions. Balanced image is what exactly you are, without lipstick, powder, and paint, and without negativities. Successive authoritarian rules have destroyed whatever institutions we inherited, be those political, financial, or administrative. Between then, the 50s, and now, what happened? And I quote a quote from the Qaid, which he stated in an interview in 1948 to the Life magazine, saying, Pakistan is the pivot of the world, placed on the frontier on which the future position of the world revolves. Prophetic. However, we converted our geostrategic asset into a geostrategic curse and became a rentier state. Over 6 decades as a willing, rather keen retainer and frontline state in Cold War, Afghan War, and the global war against terrorism. Fighting first the Soviet expansionist designs and then an extremist ideology. The country got embroiled in perennial conflict, resulting in the society becoming intolerant, exclusive, and extremist. Precious and scarce resources were diverted from education, health, and development to the strengthening of the security infrastructure. Unemployment shot up, economic disparities widened, further polarizing the society. And terrorism ravaged not just Pakistan, but the entire region. And the state response? Reactive and knee-jerk, sporadic and inconsistent. Dwelling in the past, ladies and gentlemen, is the easy part. What is to be done is what we must look at. We need to start national character building yesterday. What we could do is nothing. Right now, we're leaving and hoping that God will sort everything out for us. Even the World Cup, we are hoping that He'll give it to us. Or we could start the process of national character building. Of the many causes of individual or a society becoming intolerant and extremism is the loss of self-esteem. When you stop caring about who you are and how would your actions influence those around you and even your country, you could stoop down to any level. Character building can be narrowed down to 3 major levels, namely, to foster and strengthen national identity, to maintain the integrity of the country, and to adopt a whole of the government and society approach for a noble and dignified nation. What should ideally be done to bring that sense of belonging to Pakistan, where you could proudly claim to be a Pakistani? First is the acknowledgement of the sins of past. Then we must have clear policy objectives, and our actions must be according to those policies. This is all very nice, but this is not feasible and possible. One, because it is too radical and too quick a policy shift. Then there would be resistance from within as we continue to believe in our own propaganda. And more importantly, sometimes, somewhere, someone may need the proxies again. So we stick to the policy that we have right now. Now, what can reasonably be done? A gradual withdrawal from our past policies? But the vibes, ladies and gentlemen, do not appear to be very encouraging for me. The road to perdition may not be over yet. We need to be on the road to salvation. We must emphasize the importance of humanities at our homes, at our campuses, and our society. And let's be very clear that more religion is not an antidote to religious violence. How can this be done? How to do it? Led by civil society and think tanks, academia, state must inculcate positive behavior in citizens, defining a national narrative, and I call national narrative the stories of our past, our present state, and our hopes and inspirations for the future. And please, let's stop this patriot versus traitor business. Let's assume we are all innocent until proven guilty. And if we have traitors among us, take him or her to task. Let the allegation of being a traitor become a curse and not a title of pride, which right now is. Build that trust between state and citizen, where citizen feels relevant to the state. And state policies must be citizen-centric. Engage the youth. And as was rightly said, and I think someone is going to talk about it, not just the campus and the educated youth who have a social security net available to them, but more importantly, the illiterate, marginalized, and vulnerable youth too. They have no problem burning a few cars, breaking a few window panes, spending a few nights at the police station, in the lockup, in the prison, rather than on the footpaths. And we need a national action plan for integrated education reform. Integrated education reform, both contemporary and religious. We keep saying madrasas are the hotbeds of terrorism. Is our own contemporary education system any better? Look at the terrorists or the people arrested. Were they not from wealthy families? Look at what happened in Sri Lanka. Look at what has been happening in Karachi and other places. And remember, kinetic measures, you can kill terrorists, but you cannot counter terrorism. It may be noted that the terrorist attacks have taken a nosedive in the recent years. But if counter-extremism measures are not taken vis-a-vis radicalization, there is a strong possibility of terrorism coming back. Creating an environment for promoting pluralistic values and culture is indeed need of the hour. In the end, I would like to thank not only the organizers of this Roundtable conference, but the speakers for being here and having given me the opportunity to speak at this extremely important session. Thank you very much.